Good morning. How is everyone today? Oops, I have some housekeeping to do here. So for the past 3 weeks, we've heard from Father Jason, we've heard from Deacon Diana, and we've heard from Deacon Colleen about their call and their vocational call to their order of priest or deacon. Well, mine's going to be a little bit different today. I have some props, because deacons rock. And my sermon's really short. For those of you who are visiting today, I'm Deacon Paul. I'm convinced that there are at least 2 deacons in every congregation who do not yet know that they are called to this ministry. It is the delightful and diligent task of all people to look for them and call them by name. All of us are called to active discernment. That's a quote from Roderick Douglass, Dean of the California School of Deacons. The ministry canons of the Episcopal Church, Title III, adopted at the 74th General Convention, August 2003, charge all people and all congregations to make an active, ongoing effort to discern, call out, and support the formation of persons for all kinds of ministry in the church, including deacons and priests. I grew up in a Roman Catholic family, the youngest of 4 children. My first memory of church was around the age of 5. I can recall mimicking the priest one Sunday by holding up a round gold metallic medallion, whatever it was, I don't remember, during the same time the priest held up the host. And Margaret, my mother, with stealth hands, grabbed it down and kind of looked at me. I think that's when God first started to call. Going to church every Sunday and attending Sunday school was just the way it was from K through 12. There was no faking sick. Mom would call Dr. Burrier to do a house call. Yes, they still did that in the mid-60s. However, I actually have very many fond memories of that time in my life. My parents, my aunts and uncles, cousins, and other adults, and many a good priest exposed me to the faith of which created the foundation of my faith life journey. In my early teens, there was a desire to follow the possible life as a priest or a religious, which has chased me for the last 40 years of my life. I grew up in a small parish, and by the way, I have family here, and I won't embarrass them by making them stand up today. My Aunt Lois, my cousin Maureen, and my cousin Steve are here today. So I had to be careful. St. Mary's was a church in Groveport, Ohio. It was a mission church, and I think it was established in the 1870s, 1880s. It was a mission, and it was serviced by Vincentian priests from the East Coast and New York, near the Niagara Falls area. They came by horseback. I don't know if they had liturgy once a month or once every 6 weeks. But that parish grew from a small community into a larger community. And there I did go to Sunday school. And there I did go from K to 12. And there I did meet people who enhanced my life and helped me on my journey towards wherever God was taking me. And I would probably describe it more as wherever God was chasing me, and maybe Paul wasn't listening to. I had offers in high school to join an order of missionaries of Sacred Heart, and they would pay for my college, they would pay for my graduate school, but the catch was I had to go to Papua New Guinea, and I was not living in a house on stilts and eating bugs. That was just not my idea of a good time. So I went to Ohio Dominican College, graduated just up the road. I think it's a university now, I believe. It was tiny when I was little. There were 4 people in my major and 110 in my graduating class, so most of us knew each other. Just like my high school in Canal Winchester. I think 80 out of 89 people, we all knew each other from kindergarten, and we still keep in contact with each other. So from Canal Winchester High School to Ohio Dominican College, I still had this vision of priesthood, or this call to something. And I made contact with the Diocese of Columbus, the Roman Catholic Diocese. I got involved with the vocations director. They set up a program. I had a spiritual director. You would think I'm Italian. I think that's rubbing off on me. Who helped guide me, lead me, teach me. I remember the first day of school, I went to see, in Ohio Dominican, Sister Mary Ann Matesic. She was the dean. I had a list of classes. I handed the classes to her. Mind you, she had a huge widow's peak, long dangly earrings, and an awful dress because she just came out of a habit, and they just had issues with fashion at that time. But a good person who I think helped me make decisions to where my life would lead me. So she scratched out everything I wrote down. Thinking that I was going to be a priest, everything I had was philosophy and religion, and of course English and math. She went, no, 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 no. And she looked at me very seriously and said, what if this doesn't work out? What are you going to do? So I became a social worker. I have a degree in social work and minors in philosophy and religion. So after 3 years of being with the diocese, I lived in community in a house in the campus area of OSU. There were 12 of us, men and one priest, and we all went to different schools. It was a different concept. You gotta remember, this is the 70s. We still had folk mass. So we met regularly, prayed together, not a very, very strict kind of thing. But after that time period, I decided that, once I'm ordained a diocesan priest, that's a very lonely life. It's a life, no offense, life that I was not seeking. I was seeking more of a life that had a community-based experience. So I started courting the Franciscans. And this whole time, up until my 20s, 22, after I graduated from college, my life always centered around service. Service to others, service to family, service to strangers, service to anybody. But that has always been the thing that has driven me in my life. So I courted the Franciscan community. I was accepted as a candidate after graduation. I went to Cleveland. I was thrown in a classroom. I taught history, psychology, sociology, religion, history, whatever they gave me to do, I did it. And after 3 years, I was preparing to go to Chicago to do my theology, and I called my mother up and I said, not doing it. This just is not for me, Margaret. I'm not going. So I moved back home, lived with this, I think probably the only person that I know other than my family who loved me unconditionally, and that was Claire. Claire used to hold me when I was a baby and babysat me. We all know Claire. Moved back home, taught one more year at Marian Catholic. I think the road from Bexley to Marion, Ohio, I would wake up in Marion in the morning. It's a long drive. Again, service to teaching, service to my students. I quit that. I became a retail manager for 364 days, got out of that, didn't like that. And then I drove a truck 5 hours a day for DHL, and then I bartended 3 nights a week at the Bexley Monk. 2 of the greatest jobs I have ever had in my life. I was fit, and I loved my customers at the bar. My Capital University professors would come by in the window, I could see their head, and when they sat down, I had their cocktail right in front of them. Got to know them, had to read the sports page, like I'm a big sports person. But I had to read the sports page. I had to have conversation. I had to reach out. I had to have contact and make those things work. Service, involvement, and people. So, from my late 20s up until my late 40s to early 50s, I still attended Roman Church. I went to St. Francis on Buttles in the OSU area. Continued to do service-type organizational things with that church, but grew to a point that being a gay man in the Roman Church, I realized I could not progress any further than what I could. And I still felt called to some type of ordained ministry. So in about 2009, I courted the Episcopal Church, introduced by Deacon Douglas, a friend of mine. I started going to St. James Episcopal and gradually moved from what I was required to do at the Roman Church to the Episcopal Church. Hooked up with this one. We were received the same day, May 12, 2010, into the Episcopal Church. And I have felt at home ever since. I have felt welcome. And with all honesty, all the parishes I've been in, you all have been family. So I trust you, I love you, and I'm here to serve you. So after that, I was there 2 years. I got involved in a program called Education for Ministry, a 4-year program. And in the middle of those 4 years, I asked to be received into the School of Diaconate. Long and the short, 5 years of that. I graduated in May of 15, preparing to be ordained, and I was told no. So that was stressful. That was hard. There were a lot of tears shed, a lot of support from family and friends. I think they thought I'd quit. But God still called me to be a servant. So I stuck it out, I did my duty, I went where I had to go, and voila, last June I was ordained a deacon. This is me. This is me as servant. This is me as deacon. This is me with my sisters and my brother deacons. This is me with my brother priests. And this is me with my family here. That's the diaconate. Service. Every time I come across someone, I don't know, God puts these things in front of me sometimes, and I'm like, oh man, not again. Someone who's poor, someone who it never fails, let me tell you. My dog almost died last Saturday, and I had a tremendous, that's my child, I don't have children. So, and I had an ordination to go to in Pittsburgh. One of my classmates became a priest. So, his Aunt Rita, my sister, took care of Bruiser during that time. Monday night, I was out. I had to take him to the vet when I got back from Pittsburgh, and I had to go find baby food to feed him to get him back to eating. And I had driven by one of those Kroger stores that sells gas, and I thought, well, maybe they have it. Well, sure as I walk in, there's somebody sitting there in the rain, in the cold, down on his luck. And I could watch people go by and they never had eye contact. They avoided everything about this person. As a deacon, we're called to serve the poor, the lonely, the sick. Those are my vows. And in those vows, I am called to not ignore. I can't ignore. So I go in, look for the baby food. I'm in there and I'm thinking, oh, gee. Okay, God. Because one of these times it's going to be Jesus that I encounter. And I really don't know if it is Jesus when I'm doing this. Because you don't want to mess up, right? So I get him a hot cup of coffee, and I get him hot pizza, and I go out, and you never know what you're going to get when you go out and meet somebody like that. And look at them eye to eye, face to face, touch them, and ask them, are you hungry? And they take the food from you without question. That's a God moment. That's a deacon moment. That's your moment. That's what we're all called to do. What was it he called us dogs a couple of weeks ago? Deacons are dogs? Or, no, sheepdog. Sorry. I had to do that. Sorry. Bless me. I'm not done. But we are dogs. We're our sheepdogs. We're here to bark at you, tell you, live by example, show you how to act. And not, let me tell you, I don't always act Christ-like. Shut up, Daryl. But I'm human. I've been doing social work. I run the food stamp program and the cash card program for the state of Ohio. I handle $250 billion a year. I know where that money goes to. I work on the back end, and I do the accounting, and I do all of the negotiating and contract work. But I still talk to clients once or twice a week. Clients who are frustrated, clients who cannot get what they need when they just miss the qualifications. And dealing with those angers and dealing with that what do I do now kind of thing. And a lot of times I don't have answers. I don't have answers. But through kind words and understanding, I think that helps people. I think it makes them, you're not bad, I'm just looking at you. I think it helps them understand that we're here to help each other. Look at the world today. Look at who we need to reach out to. Look who's hurting. Look who's scared. And how do we reach out to them? We're all called to discern that. It's just that deacons are going to bark at you to do it. My story is to get you to understand that there was no phone call from God. I think there were phone calls, but Paul was busy for 40 years, moving. But finally, I answered the phone. I took the step forward. I asked, help me, and I made it through. I'd like to close today with a portion of the reading from Micah today, that I think sums up a lot of what deacons are called to, but everyone's called to. What does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God? Amen. The Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Go, Jesus.